got a Mario t-shirt on, allergies are kicking in, it's Scarlett Johansson levels of hot outside. Why is everything wet? So that can only mean one thing. Summer of Mario is back. Yep, it's that time of year again, where I spend the entire summer putting out nothing but Mario videos. This wholesome little Italian stereotype means the world to me. So I'm planning to make Summer of Mario a lot bigger this year. And also I hope to avoid having it bleed into the fall this time. There's plenty of Mario goodness to come in the next few weeks, but this video in particular is pretty special to me, because not including the second parts of my Paper Mario Color Splash review and top 10 favorite movies from 2016, this is the 50th episode of my review show. Wow, it's hard to believe I even made it this far.
I bet. Congratulations, man.
Aw, thanks, Nintendrew. That's really nice of you to say. Wait, that's not a random clip I'm using for the sake of a joke? Drew? Drew, is that really you?
Yep, it's me. I'm directly acknowledging your presence.
Wow. This is surreal. Well, it's great to see you, dude. You're one of my favorite YouTubers. But what are you doing here?
You approached me about doing a collab at Too Many Games last year, remember?
Hey, wanna do a collab? Sure. Cool. Oh yeah.
Also, you promised I'd get my own Super Smash Bros. Style splash screen, so lay it on me.
I was gonna give you one anyway, but alright. You ready?
Let's do this. Some video games are fine enough in the state that they're in during their initial release, but sometimes even when they're considered to be among the greatest games ever made, developers will still feel the need to give them another go. Video games get remade nearly all the time, and Mario is no stranger to this phenomenon. Whether it be an enhanced port with some new content added, or a game that's completely remade from the ground up for a new system.
Mario's track record with remakes is extremely fascinating, but not often talked about. I already made a video on Super Mario 64 DS, which you can watch by clicking the card in the upper right corner. However, there are still plenty of other games out there, and today I'm teaming up with Chad Schronic's brother to give them a look.
Yeah, jealous Chad?
Wait, is he watching this right now?
Probably not.
He's such a good brother. Now, when talking about Mario remakes, there's probably one that immediately comes to mind for a lot of you. But before we get to that, let's take a look at a lesser-known example, Kaettekita Mario Bros. The classic Mario Bros. Arcade game was already remade for the NES, but this one is a little more interesting. It was released on November 30th, 1988 for the Famicom Disk System exclusively in Japan, and it was sponsored by a Japanese food company called Nagatanien. If I pronounce any of these words wrong, I deeply apologize.
At first glance, it looks just like the NES version of Mario Bros., but when you start the game, you'll notice that there are two modes available, Original Mario Bros. And Nagatanien World. You see, this game was produced as part of a contest in collaboration with Nagatanien, where you could earn special prizes by scoring a certain number of points in Mario Bros. Nagatanien World basically tells you everything related to the contest. Scoring points would unlock promotional codes that, when mailed into a specific address, could earn you special prizes like a set of Mario playing cards, a keyring, or even a copy of Super Mario Bros. 3. Keep in mind, this was in Japan, so Mario 3 was already out by this point. The contest lasted until May 31st, 1989, so save yourself an eBay purchase because there's not much of a point in playing this version nowadays.
Well, the Mario Bros. Mode does have some new levels, and Mario and Luigi can even change direction in mid-air. Mid-air controls were a luxury back then, trust me, this is a big deal. There was also a pretty cool slot machine, and if you're tired of Mario games telling you to take breaks after playing too long, then maybe you'll want a Mario game to tell you to import Japanese food.
Oh, sweet, finally! What?
Yeah, the promotion sounds a little weird, but Nintendo of Japan did this kind of stuff a lot back in the day. There was Doki Doki Panic, a collaboration with Fuji Television that became Super Mario Bros. 2. And there was All Night Nippon's Super Mario Bros., a retool of the original game that's based on a Japanese radio show and replaces enemies with Japanese celebrities, including Takeshi Kitano, who would star in his own Famicom game that same year with
But that's enough Japan being Japan for now. It's time to look at our next Mario remake, and it's one that I'm sure plenty of you are familiar with. Take it away, Drew.
On August 1st, 1993, Super Mario All-Stars was released for the Super Nintendo in the US. It's a collection of all the classic 8-bit Mario games remade in 16-bit, with updated graphics and sound. The games included are Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 2, Super Mario Bros. 3, and the previously Japan-exclusive Mario 2: The Lost Levels. Every single game not only looks and sounds better, but the controls have also been made a lot smoother. So if you found yourself struggling with games like Mario 1 and 3, then these versions should give you a much more comfortable experience.
Yeah, Mario 3 especially feels so much better. There's also a save feature, so you can save your progress and go back to each game whenever you want. Although what I find a little strange is that Lost Levels is the only game that saves the level you stopped on, whereas the other games only save the entire worlds. Speaking of Lost Levels, it still has terrible level design and is by no means one of my favorite Mario games. But the smoother controls and the save feature do make it a little more tolerable. Just a little.
Overall, this collection is great and easily the best way to play these classic titles in their original form. And best of all, the slide glitch in Mario 1 still works. Where would we be without that? The game was also given a re-release on the Wii, or a Wii release if you will, for the 25th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. In 2010. It's pretty much the exact same game again, with nothing really new about it, but what makes it worth buying is the packaging, which is absolutely beautiful.
I just wish we got the version that comes with Super Mario World. A year after Super Mario All-Stars was released, we were given Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World, only as a pack-in game for the SNES. Yep, it never got a standalone release in North America, and it was also never released in Japan. But owning it was totally worth it just to get all the classic Mario games in 16-bit, along with arguably the best Mario game of all time on the exact same cartridge. The version of Super Mario World here is pretty much exactly the same as before, only with 4 save files now instead of 3, and Luigi's character sprite was completely remade to make him look more like Luigi and less like a green Mario cosplayer. I love that they did this, but he still plays just like Mario, so it's more of a cosmetic change than anything. Anyway, if you want to play Super Mario All-Stars, play this version. It has one more great game to add to this already fantastic collection. Seriously, you'll go bananas over it.
Bananas! Hey, there's a segue into Donkey Kong 94 if there ever was one. Released in June 1994 for the original Game Boy, this serves as a remake of the original 1981 Donkey Kong arcade game, now with more levels, more mechanics, and a wider moveset for Mario. It starts out in the same way as the arcade game. You're Mario, Pauline is your kinda sorta girlfriend, Donkey Kong's got her, go. But after that, progression becomes very similar to a normal Mario game. Levels are broken up into worlds with roughly 8 levels each. There's a boss battle in the middle and at the end, and then you can move on to the next world. Grabbing all of Pauline's items before completing a level will also let you play one of 2 minigames. There's a Wheel of Fortune game where you stop the wheel to earn extra lives, and then there's a slot machine game that's pretty self-explanatory. Completing a level requires Mario to grab a key and reach the exit door with it. Mario's also got some fancy new moves to get through each stage. He can backflip, he can do handstands and jump while performing said handstands, he can even pick up and throw things in the style of Mario 2. If most of Mario's abilities from the 3D games were taken from or inspired by this game, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, me neither. But on that subject, is it me or does Mario feel a bit flimsy? I always found myself performing aerobatics without even trying to, and it ended up throwing me off a bunch of times. And while he can survive more falls than the original game, his endurance overall is still pretty poor. With all the other new stuff that was added to this game, why couldn't they at least give Mario a health meter? Donkey Kong 94 is certainly more packed with content than the original, and it does have a lot of charm to it. Like, I enjoy the role reversal in this Donkey Kong Jr. inspired boss fight. But honestly, I got kinda bored with it after a while. It's much more puzzle-oriented than the original, but for me, the appeal seemed to wear off pretty quickly. Playing this game is like staying at a friend's house, but only the kind of friends you can't imagine hanging out with for very long. You enjoy spending a couple minutes with them, but after a while you start getting antsy and wish you were somewhere else. And then they tie you to a bed and break your legs.
Well, Mark, if you don't really like this game that much, maybe you'd prefer something like Mario vs. Donkey Kong instead. It's not technically a remake of the remake, but it's the same basic idea. In the game, Mario's new toy company produces a mini Mario toy and Donkey Kong wants it. But when he goes to his local toy store, he finds that all the mini Marios are sold out. Angered, he drops by the Mario toy company and steals every last one of those little knickknacks.
I am so tempted to make a joke about scalpers after hearing that. But yeah, I've played this game before, and I really enjoy it. Before the mini Marios became the focus of this series, the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong was a fun little puzzle platformer about Mario going after the first member of the DK crew to get the minis back. While it somewhat builds upon the formula established in Donkey Kong 94, this game just seems to have a lot more charm and character to it. I wouldn't say Mario vs. Donkey Kong is something you absolutely need to play before you die, but I recommend you try it out. I think you'll really like it. Now let's go farther back in time to take a look at one of Nintendo's biggest blunders, the Virtual Boy. There are tons of things out there that I'll be quick to defend. Wii Music, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the Star Wars prequels, -1, but I, for the life of me, cannot vouch for the Virtual Boy. It's very poorly designed, and the idea that Nintendo thought this could be the next big thing is more headache-inducing than the system itself.
Well, just because a console has a lot going against it, that doesn't mean there aren't any good games for it. Look at Mario Clash. This is another remake of the original Mario Brothers, released on October 1st of 1995. A building called the Clash House Tower has been invaded by a bunch of crazy creatures, and Mario has to go in and clear them out. The stages are laid out in a similar way to how the levels in Mario Brothers are laid out, only instead of jumping from beneath enemies or hitting a POW block to knock them over, Mario has to get rid of them by throwing Koopa shells at them. Mario can even travel into the background to throw shells at enemies that are in the foreground. I like doing this, it's more fun to pull off and add some extra action to the game.
Well, for being on the Virtual Boy anyway. Notwithstanding some minor control issues, Mario Clash is actually a pretty fun game. It's certainly one of the better and more tolerable games to come from the Virtual Boy's hilariously minuscule library. It's not the best version of Mario Brothers, but I'll definitely take it over something like this weird Atari commercial. Mario, where are you? You know what? I wouldn't mind seeing another Mario game in this style. With the background-foreground mechanic, I can see this working pretty well on the 3DS.
I thought the 3DS was dead.
Well, for some reason, that's what everyone wants to believe.
Huh, even Nintendo fans? That sounds more like something PlayStation would want.
Yeah, or Microsoft.
Who is Microsoft?
Oh, he's my Xbox fanboy alter ego. He doesn't really do much, though. He just kind of stands there in the corner contemplating his own existence. Project Scarlet.
I think we're getting off topic.
Don't worry, this happens a lot in my videos.
Okay then. Well, we're done with Mario Brothers. Now with Super Mario Brothers, when it comes to full-on remakes, look no further than Super Mario Brothers Deluxe for the Game Boy Color. That Deluxe is warranted because this version has a ton of extra modes. Challenge mode has you run through every single level in the game, now with added collectibles like red coins and Yoshi eggs, and ranking enough points gets you rewards that you can look at in the toy box. Medals, drawings, a calendar, and you can even print things out as physical pictures using the handy-dandy Game Boy printer. It also handles stubborn stains, makes dozens of julienne fries, and gives relaxing back massages. The main game is almost completely untouched, as the level design is exactly the same, warp zones and all. But now you start with 5 lives instead of 3, there's a world map that displays your progress, it has a save feature of course, water and lava are animated now instead of being static, new sound effects were added for elements like Lakitu throwing spinies, and you can switch between playing as Mario or Luigi. Luigi's character sprite was even recolored so that his original outfit with the white and green color scheme is now his Fire Flower outfit.
But like with the All-Stars version of Super Mario World, it's purely cosmetic. Although the physics in general have been tweaked. It's a little tighter than the original, and admittedly it's a change I'm not very fond of. I seem to struggle more when making long jumps or running really fast. It feels a bit too precise, and although I'm glad that it's less finicky than previously, it's not quite as responsive either. Without a doubt, my least favorite thing about the game is the screen size. It's zoomed in so closely that some parts of the stage are made much harder to see coming, and it makes the platforming less fun for me. You are able to adjust the camera and look around a little bit with the D-pad or the select button, but it's kind of intrusive and sort of breaks the pace of the game. But imagine trying to play Lost Levels like this, which is included as a mode called Super Mario Bros. For Super Players. I haven't played it, but it's Lost Levels, so I have no reason to, and neither should you. While Super Mario Bros. Deluxe isn't bad in its entirety, I can't really say I enjoy it as much as I do the original. I won't argue that there's more content presented, but most of it's not very exciting, and when it comes to the core Super Mario Bros. Gameplay, the physics and the screen crunch have hindered my experience too many times to count. In the end, my main problem with it is the same problem I have with Super Mario 64 DS, the fact that it's on the system it was released for. The hardware limitations are understandable, but they make my overall experiences less fun.
Does the Mario slide glitch work in this game?
No, but it does have Luigi spazzing out on a vine.
Oh, that's lovely.
I'll still take Super Mario Advance over this any day. When the Game Boy Advance came onto the scene in 2001, Nintendo felt compelled to remake 4 different Mario games for the system over the course of 2 years, and the numerical order has done nothing but frustrate the masses since then. The first is a remake of Mario 2, number 2 is Super Mario World, number 3 is Yoshi's Island, and number 4 is Mario 3. I didn't think it'd be possible for video game titles to give me OCD.
While you take a moment to calm down, let's take a look at Mario Advance 1. Like Mark mentioned before, it's a remake of Super Mario Bros. 2, but the sound design and art style are all based on the All-Stars port of Mario 2. There are new collectibles to find, like the Ace Coins. Hearts are easier to obtain since you can find them lying around or by killing multiple enemies in a single chain. New platforming elements were added to the levels, there are more secrets to uncover, enemies and vegetables come in bigger variations, and there's even voice acting. The main cast spurts out different phrases when collecting power-ups or taking damage, and the bosses have things to say as well.
This is as far as you go!
Even if some of them should really keep quiet. Interesting to note, aside from Birdo, all the boss's characters' voices are provided by none other than Mario himself, Charles Martinet.
That man can do no wrong.
Tell me about it.
Well, I think I'm good now. So, after playing Super Mario Advance for this video, it turned out to be so much better than I remember. It feels more like a Mario game than the original, which is understandable because it wasn't even meant to be a Mario game in the first place, and I really got a kick out of things like the bigger vegetables and the updated level design. I think I can get away with saying this is my favorite version of Super Mario Bros. 2, and you should definitely dust off your Wii U, or take it out of the garbage can, and pick this game up on the Virtual Console to try it out for yourself.
Hold up, we forgot to mention that Super Mario Advance also comes with a port of Mario Bros.
What? I thought we were done with that game.
Well, I think it's still fair to bring it up. It's classic Mario Bros. With some enemies replaced with more recognizable enemies like Spinies and Koopa Troopas. It also has smoother controls, so the legacy of Kaettekita Mario Bros. Lives on. Just without the food promotion, to my dismay. This to me is the definitive version of the arcade original, and it would go on to be included in every other Mario Advance game as well as Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But speaking of other Mario Advance games, let's move on to Super Mario Advance 2. First thing worth pointing out is the cutscene that plays before the title screen, with Mario, Luigi, and Peach arriving in Dinosaur Land, and Bowser making off with Peach while the brothers are goofing around with their capes. It's friggin' adorable, and it does a much better job at explaining the game's backstory than the original manual, which I still keep framed on my windowsill regardless of its cheesy writing. I've made my feelings towards Super Mario World more than abundantly clear on numerous occasions, so how does the GBA port do this game justice for me? Well, for the most part, it's pretty good. You can switch between Mario and Luigi on the world map, Luigi was given his own unique physics now, Dragon Coins can be found in fortresses and ghost houses, and the spin jump was mapped to the R button, which I appreciate. Something I thought was a nice change was how the different colored Yoshis were handled. You can still find them in the Star World, but when you hatch them for the first time, then you can hatch them from question blocks in normal levels depending on what form Mario or Luigi is in. So if you have a Fire Flower, then you get a red Yoshi, and if you have a Cape Feather, then it's a blue Yoshi. There's plenty of other elements of Mario Advance 2 that I like, but that does not include the sound design. I gave it a hard time when I spoke about this game during my original Super Mario World video, and 4 years later, it's not as bad as I made it out to be, but it still pales in comparison. The Game Boy Advance is capable of producing great music despite it having a weaker sound chip than the Super Nintendo, and in all fairness, some of these songs don't sound too bad. But What is going on with the Valley of Bowser theme? Did they just replace the bass with fart samples? Although I personally don't think the game as a whole is better than the original, Super Mario Advance 2 is still a ton of fun on its own, and manages to hold a candle to the SNES game thanks to its wider variety of content. Give it a shot if you're interested. And since I just realized I didn't give Drew a chance to share his thoughts on it, I'll let him tackle the next game.
Well, you're clearly more passionate about Super Mario World than I am, and it's honestly kind of freaky, so I didn't want to throw off your groove.
Gotcha. My inner Cusco would not like that. You don't want to see my inner Cusco. But my inner Kronk is perfectly harmless.
Mission accomplished.
Anyway, Super Mario Advance 3 was released under a year after the second game and is a remake of Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island for the Super Nintendo. That's probably why they didn't add the subtitle. The numbers in these titles are already so confusing. Unlike the last two games, this port doesn't have as many big noticeable changes from the original and is almost note for note the same like the bonus games. Wait a minute, are those save states?
Shame is a feeling of which I do not have. Besides, I'm playing on the Wii U, so technically they're called restore points.
There are still changes like the addition of extra checkpoints and whatnot, but again, it's nothing major. At least they fixed the plural for Yoshis. That's pretty good. What they didn't fix, however, was the red coins. Eagle-eyed players would notice that red coins in the original Yoshi's Island look similar to normal coins, only they had a red tint to make them stand out. That's not the case in the GBA version, as the red tint was removed. No matter why that might be the case, Super Mario Advance 3 is still a faithful port of the Super Nintendo game. Something many might find strange is that this is the only version of Yoshi's Island to be given a Virtual Console re-release. In fact, the original game was never made available on any Virtual Console service at all. The only official re-release it would get as of this video was in the form of the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. If you can't afford to get an SNES Classic or are unable to find one, which wouldn't be surprising, anyone hoping to play the original Yoshi's Island will have to resort to emulation or buying a physical cartridge and playing it on an actual Super Nintendo. But the Game Boy Advance port is much easier to find, especially on the Wii U's Virtual Console, and it's not too different from the original, so there's no harm sticking with Mario Advance 3.
Alright, let's wrap things up with the last game in the series, Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3. Two numbers in the same title. As that frustrating name suggests, the game is a remake of Super Mario Bros. 3. But like Mario Advance 1, its presentation is based on the All-Stars version of Mario 3. And like Mario Advance 2, you can play as both Mario and Luigi. Luigi has his own physics again, higher jump and slippery traction, and each brother carries their own separate item inventory. The differences don't stop there, the entire game was made so much easier. More power-ups are available in each stage, certain platforms were made longer, and some enemies and obstacles were straight up removed entirely. One issue I had with Mario 3 originally was how often it would shift in terms of difficulty, and thanks to the alterations made to the GBA version, the adventure in terms of challenge feels much more balanced. As all things should be. I'm Josh Brolin.
One of the most well-known aspects of Super Mario Advance 4 is that it was compatible with the Game Boy Advance e-reader. This bulky-looking credit card scanner was a peripheral for the GBA that could let you scan cards to access different things in different games, basically like an early version of Amiibo. And Amiibo cards, now that I think about it. You could use the e-reader to unlock items and designs in Animal Crossing, battle exclusive trainers in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, and even download NES and Game & Watch games directly onto your Game Boy Advance. In the case of Super Mario Advance 4, scanning cards into the e-reader would unlock levels and items in World E. If you didn't have an e-reader, level cards, or a secondhand copy with everything already downloaded onto it, there was no other way to access these levels. Fortunately, when Mario Advance 4 was re-released on the Wii U Virtual Console service, all the e-reader levels were actually included, along with some that were only previously available in Japan. So if you're curious to try them out, this is definitely the version to go with.
Couldn't agree more. These levels are crazy. Some are recreations of levels from the original Super Mario Bros., and some incorporate elements from other Mario games. You seriously never know what you're going to get with these stages, and for me, it was an absolute thrill to give them a shot. They can get pretty tricky though, so watch out. All the e-reader levels really do add a lot of value to the Wii U version, but really, you should play this game in any form. Super Mario Advance 4 is a fantastic game. With everything it changes from the original, including better level design and improved difficulty, this is hands down the best version of Mario 3 to date, and it might even be my favorite in the Mario Advance series. It fixes whatever the NES or Super Nintendo versions had going against them, it has plenty of unique content to bring to the table, and it's just downright fun to play.
I agree. Super Mario Advance 4 is well worth anyone's time and is a great example of how remakes can be faithful to their original versions while still providing old and new players with their own pleasant experience.
So, that's pretty much everything we wanted to talk about. There are a couple other games we missed, like Luigi's Mansion and the Mario and Luigi 3DS games, but we just couldn't get to them all, unfortunately. I can link you to this revisiting episode I made, where I give my thoughts on the Luigi's Mansion remake, so there should be another card up there somewhere if you want to go check that out.
This was a lot of fun. I don't think I've talked about that many games in one video before.
I have. It's not always easy. Don't be like me. But thanks for joining me, Drew. It's really been an honor to have you on for my 50th episode.
Hey, thanks for having me, and good luck with the rest of Summer of Mario.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
Actually, I'm curious, what's your next video gonna be on? Because I think a Mario game just came out recently, and that might be good for a review.
I'll have to look into it.
Is it always like this around here?
Hello everybody, thank you all so much for tuning in to the first video of my second annual Summer of Mario series, and a very, very special thank you to Nintendrew for taking part in this with me. Dude, if you're watching this, and I'm sure you are, I absolutely love your stuff. I've been supporting you on Patreon for a while now, and I've been watching your stuff for a while, and you make some absolutely great stuff. You're one of my favorites, and it's truly an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to have been able to make this video with you. So, thanks again for that. And speaking of Patreon, I want to give another big thanks to all my supporters on Patreon, including the names that you're seeing scroll across the screen right now, as well as my superstar supporter for this month, Henry Newman. Once again, dude, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It really does mean a lot to me, and thank you to everybody who's supporting me. If anybody else out there wants to help support the channel, then you can go over to my Patreon page, or you can click the little join button on my channel to become a sponsor. You get some really cool perks for it, and it's totally optional, so you don't have to if you don't want to. I really would appreciate it, but again, it's totally up to you. I'm not gonna force you. Your choice. I'm not gonna be one of those guys. But, yeah, thanks again for watching, and with that said, this is Mark bidding you all a smashing farewell. See you guys next time.